My name is Helen Garcia-Carreras, and this is my presentation on vaudeville tap. I've got a few disclaimers before I get started, 4 of them to be exact. Number one, this is not a truly vaudevillian performance because number one, I choreographed it. Number two, I also couldn't find a lot of film from the vaudeville time period of tap dancing, largely because, or at least not stuff that was usable. Like the audio would be bad, or it would be too fuzzy or too short of a clip. So what I did instead was I looked for tappers that would have crossed the line between vaudeville and the beginning of film, early film tap. So the 2 artists that I studied for this project were Bilbo Jangles Robinson and the Nicholas Brothers. I'm gonna be performing a combo, there we go, that I choreographed in 3 separate styles. So the first is going to be musical theater tap, so what I'm trained in and most familiar with. Then Bilbo Jangles Robinson's style, and then Nicholas Brothers would be third. So it's the exact same choreography 3 different times. Part 2 disclaimer, I could not find my tap shoes, which is really devastating and a little concerning because I need them in the fall. But I have a couple more places to look, but I don't have another chance to get to the studio to record. So for today, I'm going to be performing in my clogging shoes. So the taps are a little different, and I'm gonna show you why. Tap shoes only have 1 piece of metal, and clogging shoes have what's called a jingle tap. And so it's 2 pieces of metal up against each other, and so they jingle and make a extra noise. It's louder and it's a little muddier. So the sound is gonna be a little different from a tap dancer, but it'll still serve the purpose that it needs to, mainly because I'm doing more of a physical study as opposed to a sound study. Point number 3, I'm recording this in blue jeans and a large oversized t-shirt, and that is not, or a large oversized shirt, it's not a t-shirt. But I wouldn't usually record a dance film in this. It just looks more similar to the lines from the performers of this time period. So I think that if you put a video of me dancing against Bilbo Jangles Robinson, it's gonna look more similar just because we're in more similar clothing. Very last thing is, I can't remember the very last thing. It'll come to me eventually. So I'm gonna start doing a breakdown of all the different styles. First off is musical theater tap. We're gonna imagine that there's a glass box around us about the width of our shoulders, and we wanna keep our feet and our arms within this box. Our spine is going to be very stacked, and our chin is lifted from the chest. Arms are going to be pretty much connected, elbows to the waist, and they will come off every now and again, but for the most part, we're wanting to keep them controlled and in. Very last thing, all of this is very much on the balls of your feet. Our heels are rarely going to touch the ground unless we stomp. So that's the basis of theater technique. Now the Bilbo Jangles Robinson. He did keep his feet primarily within the box. His feet were a little further apart, but just slightly, and stacked spine, just like theater. His arms, though, are a lot looser, and shoulders as well. So it's like his arms weren't engaged at all from the shoulders. So they would wiggle around as he danced. His head would almost stay in the same place, though, which is really interesting, because he was so controlled here that his head would be isolated. Okay, last one, Nicholas Brothers. The Nicholas Brothers had a much wider stance to their tap dancing, and they were much heavier. They were not balls of the feet kind of people. They were very heavy on their heels. Their arms, they were much more, I would say, flamboyant in their dancing. So their arms go a lot with their dancing. They weren't choreographed arms, but they were just very free and very controlled. I feel like there was one more thing. Oh, they had a lot of very large facial expressions, and they would incorporate little comedy bits of like slapstick kind of stuff within their choreography. If you've seen, there's a clip on TikTok where it's gone viral on TikTok, at least tap TikTok, where they do like splits over each other down the stairs, and it's a really cool clip, but it's that type of stuff where it's very much for the spectacle of it all, or at least just the comedy. I also just thought about it. I want to go back to Bilbo Jangles Robinson for a second. His feet were very low to the ground, so while he wasn't on his heels, so to speak, he was low to the ground with his feet. They wouldn't come up off the ground. Nicholas Brothers did that. He was low, and he would slide a lot during his routines. There's one particular routine that he does called the sand dance, and he spreads sand on the ground, which was a common technique, especially in soft shoe, which is another predecessor to modern tap. But spreading sand on the ground so that you can get the sliding sounds a lot stronger, and they're really pretty because they're like, it is really cool. Anyway, this is me performing my choreography to the Kansas City Shuffle by Benny Moten's Kansas City Orchestra. The first style I'll be performing in is musical theater tap, followed by Bilbo Jangles Robinson's style and technique, followed by the Nicholas Brothers. Here's musical theater. Watching our presentation. Have a good rest of your summer. And bonus, for anyone who's curious about the difference between clogging and tap, the biggest difference is the presence of what's called the drag slide, which is a forward and back motion throughout the entirety of the dance form. So for example, this is going on between all of these shuffles. They're called doubles and taps. Same with basics. And so on. And if you're super interested, here's a little piece of choreography from my mom, Garcia-Carreras, and to a piece called Still in Love with You by Travis Tritt.